Hello, it's Evil Peacat here. Are you tired of all these YouTube videos that promise to make you better at art? What if you don't want to improve at art? What if you want to draw the same forever and ever? Where are the tutorials for that? Well, I'm proud to announce that I've made a video just for you. I've worked incredibly hard to put together the hottest and most effective set of tips to make sure you improve as little as possible. You don't want to miss this. To start with, the most surefire way to never improve is simply, obviously, do not draw. And that's easy to say, but how do you prevent accidents? How do you prevent the scenario where you trip and accidentally draw a masterpiece? Okay, listen, you can watch all the art tutorial videos you like, and you can also think about art as much as you like. You just have to make sure that you never pick up a pencil. Thinking about art and getting all stressed about it, that's totally fine. In fact, thinking, or at least overthinking, is the secret here to prevent yourself from drawing. So let me share some tips and tricks about overthinking to prevent yourself from ever touching that pencil. So the secret is actually to make sure that you discourage yourself as much as possible. Here's a strategy that you can try. Find some young artists, preferably younger than you, then compare your work with theirs. Just look at how much better their art is, and tell yourself that this is clearly because they're super talented and not because they've been drawing since they were -3 or something, and that technically in terms of hours they've drawn at least 10 times more than you have. That's all irrelevant. Just ignore it. Just focus on age because it's the only number that matters. In fact, if you really think about it, you're probably too old to even try drawing. How long is it going to take to get good at art? 5 years? Maybe 10? How old are you now? Imagine being middle-aged before getting good at art. It's so much easier and safer to be middle-aged and not good at art, since, the time will pass regardless. And if you're already feeling old, you may as well not even start because it's way too late. Just disregard the fact that there are millions of people much older than you that are always learning new things all the time. Just don't think about it because you're definitely too old. I also want to warn you about something really dangerous that will make you improve, regardless of age. Hey, it's Business Pika here, and I'm here to introduce the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. I've been wanting to refresh my knowledge of portrait drawing, and Skillshare has been great for that. I've been checking out Chris Hong's class, which is super well structured and has lots of great tips, especially for beginners. Skillshare is the largest online learning community with classes by creatives for creatives. If there's any skill you want to learn, there are thousands of classes in tons of categories, ranging from beginner to advanced. We're talking film, animation, design, and of course, drawing. And you can learn by doing, which is particularly important for art, by creating and sharing projects for each class. You can even get feedback on your project from the community. And classes are now easier than ever to find due to class categories and smarter recommendations. So if you're looking to level up, consider checking it out. The first 500 people to use my link in the description get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. And now, back to the video, and talking about comparing with others. But what if comparing yourself to others isn't really your thing? I know that people have said things like, don't compare with other people, only compare with your past self, yada yada, stuff like that. Some people might even believe that. Maybe you believe that or not. So here's another trick that you can try instead. Make sure that you're laser focused on the results of art and not the process. If you're having fun with it, or if you're enjoying the act of drawing, don't, because none of that matters, only the results. The only thing you want to pay attention to is the number of likes that you're getting on your work. It doesn't matter if you had a lot of fun drawing it. If it didn't go viral, what's the point? Because clearly, the best judge of good art is strangers on the internet that probably have no art background. Hopefully, thinking this way will properly discourage you from drawing. If none of this is very convincing to you so far, you may be unfortunately cursed with strong mental fortitude. So let's try changing your strategy up. Instead of focusing on the mindset, let's try looking at the actual physical tools that people use to draw with. Let's take a look at some incredible digital artists. What kind of tools do they use? Maybe something like this? Oh, that costs a lot. You don't have that kind of money, right? I guess it's time to start saving up, because there's no point starting until you have the same tools as great artists out there to give yourself the best chance possible, right? Never mind that plenty of artists use nothing more than just pencil and paper, or that there are plenty of transferable skills between different media. Just put that out of your mind for now. It's clearly a much better idea to spend tons of money before you even know you like drawing. Okay, despite all these amazing tips that I'm giving you, what if your self-control isn't really that good and you just can't can't stop yourself from drawing. You know, I get it. It's understandable. But don't worry, because it's not beyond saving. Here are some tips to avoid improvement even while drawing. So the best tip, I think, is to stay within your comfort zone. Only draw what you know and keep doing it. Never try anything new. Unfortunately, you will still improve within your comfort zone, but at least you can limit improvement in other areas. But how can you make sure that you never leave your comfort zone? That's pretty easy. For one thing, make sure that you never use reference. It's cheating somehow, because it's definitely cheating to use reference. I'm not exactly sure how, but it's definitely bad for some reason. If you're a real artist, you should be able to draw everything from imagination, even if you've never seen that thing in your life. The real danger of reference is that you might learn how things actually look, which might lead to improvement, and you don't want that, so you better avoid it. Here's another super important reason to avoid references. Learning to draw specific things is bad, but it would be even worse to accidentally learn your fundamentals. I know you've probably heard of fundamentals before. Stuff like gesture, composition, form drawing, color theory, that kind of stuff. And when you're studying these fundamentals, you need to use references. And it'll make you a lot better at art if you properly do this. That's why it's so important to avoid. Besides, practicing fundamentals is really hard to do, and you don't want to do hard stuff, right? So better avoid that. So don't do it. So while I've given you plenty of tips and strategies so far, I do understand that accidents can happen. Like, what if you trip and accidentally practice gesture drawing? Don't worry, that's an easy mistake, but not all hope is lost just yet. There are ways to ensure you stop as soon as possible. A good thing to try here is to make sure that studying is as boring as possible. Fortunately, most people don't find studying inherently fun, so there are things they do to make it more fun. For example, studying with friends, learning together, or maybe streaming their progress so it's more interesting. Ideally, you want to study alone in a dark room for at least 40 hours a day. Remember, it's important to not take breaks. But wait, no breaks? Isn't that a little bit counterintuitive? We're trying to avoid improving, right? And studying makes you improve. So shouldn't you want to take lots of breaks to make sure you study less? That's not quite right. Think about what taking breaks does. It gives your brain some time to rest, and you can get inspired by things around you. If you don't take breaks, you end up exhausting yourself, and hopefully, this is what we're going for, you burn yourself out. So this is a really great long-term solution, because once you're burned out, you won't want to study for a very long time. In order to increase your likelihood of burning out, you also want to make sure that you never ever draw for fun. What you're trying to do is associate the act of picking up a pencil with pain. You want to dread picking it up. To help with this, you can also try setting unrealistic deadlines. For example, if you can't paint the Mona Lisa in 6 months of studying, then you may as well just give up because you clearly aren't talented enough. Okay, I have given you so many tips. Surely at least one of them works for you, right? No? Are your art habits still healthy despite all that? Well, I have one final option for you. If you can't help but do studies and do them in a healthy way, then at least you can make sure that your studies are as ineffective as possible. So first, I have a little bit of bad news for you. Even if you don't study perfectly, you will still see improvements. Even imperfect studies can potentially make you improve a lot. But of course, it's still best to try to limit that improvement as much as possible. So what you do is that you autopilot. Never think while you draw. If you're copying a photo, you don't want to do things like think about the construction of your subject. If you're studying from an artist, you don't want to think about intent. Just copy, don't think. Like I said, you won't be able to prevent all improvement, but hopefully by doing it this way, you can lessen it. All right, with the help of all of these tips, I hope they'll help you draw the same and never improve for many years to come. If any of them come in handy, draw the subscribe button, but remember not to use reference because that's cheating. Lastly, this is a joke, but I'm sure you've all realized that by now. Hopefully. Thank you so much for watching. Catch you next time, okay? Bye-bye!